Alright, ninth graders, I know you guys can be a little bit rowdy, but I'm going to need you to focus up here for ideally the whole class here. And I want to ask you a question. Who's ever used the phrase, "and then I found $10"? Alright, if you don't know what that phrase is, a lot of people use it whenever they hear a story that they weren't really invested in or interested in. Is that what you guys have experience with?
Or when you're telling one.
Or when you tell one, if you know you didn't tell it very well, maybe? Alright, a little self-monitoring there, Alex, that's good. Well, no one likes hearing or reading a bad story, right? And what we're going to talk about today is what makes up a good story. So, we're going to break it down, kind of. So, the next couple of days, we're going to be reading Romeo and Juliet, and that is a play with a lot of different characters, a lot of different themes, and it's just very broad, and sometimes it's easier to break a story down into sections or different parts, and that makes it easier to understand. So today I want you to brainstorm in groups, and what we're going to do is we're going to draw a little diagram to help us break down a story. And that's called the story star. So in your groups of 4, we're going to draw out a star on a blank piece of paper, and you're going to think of the 5 different parts of the story. And you might not get them all, that's fine. And any kind of answer is good here. We're just trying to get ideas out. Let's try to think of a point for each star of what can make up a good story. All right, does that make sense? All right, sounds good. So I'll give you a couple minutes to work on that in groups.
There's this thing like what makes a style. For some people, I don't think resurrection makes a good story.
Yeah, you guys can just make one per group, or it doesn't, whatever you guys want to do. Yeah, so.
Is it 5 persons or characters, plot, or what makes it?
For me, it's like.
Well, yeah, the answer to your first question is what I'm looking for here. But ideally, if you have a good set of characters, that makes it a story, right?
So we can say engaging.
You can say that if you want, but what we're focusing on now is the parts, and then we'll add on, engaging story later on. Tomorrow, you know what I mean? Yes. This is what I want. Let's see. Well, what I want to do is bring it together. Those are all great answers. Which one is
Yeah. Got it.
Alright, does everyone have 5 written down? Yes? Alright, so what I want to do is just go around table by table and get an answer from every table, ideally. So let's start in the back. What's one of the points you had?
Conflict.
Conflict? Okay, that's good. Alright. Next table?
Introduction.
Okay. And writing them over here doesn't mean they're wrong. We're just gonna get ideas down and then fit them into the star after.
Rising action.
Okay. Next table?
Climax.
Okay. What do you guys have?
Complex character.
That's cool. That's a great one. Next?
Language.
Okay. And the next one?
We have setting.
Okay, that's good. Alright, so you guys all have great answers, don't get me wrong. So what we're looking for here is a couple different ones. Hi, Sue.
Hi.
So we got characters up here. And some of these are very broad and good answers, rising action isn't one we're going to include on this star, but it's going a little more in depth. That's on the lesson we might teach tomorrow. So we have good at, and clearly you guys have learned about stories before, which is great, but it's not exactly what we're looking for today. So we have characters, right? And another way to think about this is the who of the story. We also have setting, right? So this is where and when. And then we also have the resolution / conflict. Plot. What happened. And how did it end? So as you can see, we're filling out every single question here. Where, when, who, how did it end? And the last one we have over here is the theme, which is the why. So what we're going to do now is we're going to read I'm going to read a short story in front of the class, and I want you to be thinking about these 5 different points of the story, all right? And then when you guys are going to get back in groups and try to identify these 5 points in the story I've read, all right? Does that make sense to everyone?
Yes.
All right, this is Wallet by Alan Woodman. Tired of losing his wallet to pickpockets, my father, at 70, makes a phony one. He stuffs the phony wallet with expired coupons and losing Florida lottery tickets and a fortune cookie fortune that reads, "Life is the same old story, told over and over." In a full-length mirror, he tries the wallet in the back pocket of his pants. It hangs out fat with desire. All oysters, says to me, no pearl. We drive to the mall where he says he lost the last one. I am the wheelman, left behind the car, while my father cases a department store. He's an old man trying to act feeble and childlike, and he overdoes it like stage makeup on a community theater actor. He has even brought a walking stick for special effect. Packages of stretch socks clumsily slip from his fingers. He bends over farther than he has bent in years to retrieve them, allowing the false stillfold to rise like a dark wish and be grappled by the passing shadow of a hand. Thanks. Yep. Then the unexpected happens. The thief is chased by an attentive sales clerk. Others join in. The thief subdues. The clerk holds up the retrieved item. "Your wallet, sir. Your wallet." As she begins opening it, searching for identification, my father runs toward an exit. The worthless articles float to the floor. Now my father is in the car, shouting for me to drive away. There won't be time enough for silence and rest. We are both stupid with smiles, and he is shouting, "Drive fast, drive fast." All right, so what we're looking for are these 5 points within this story. So talk together in your groups and try to identify these 5 on a separate star. Everyone got that? All right, thanks.
And son.
Department store in Maybe. Otherwise, I don't know why you can't.
Like, for justice.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I he did nothing wrong.
Yeah, me too. Or either that or like I'll focus on like one specific thing that they say and just like really like think about it, break it down in my head and trick my head and think, oh shit, this
Steve Herman poisoned Thursday at so they're dying by thousands. So I just called constantly. You can't get rid of me. Box out. There are elbows.
Except she calls it a building.
You guys have your star builder?
Oh, I missed
I tried, but I remember
Well, you know, Sam, I knew you were very responsible, so I put you with a group of So I'd like you guys to get your 5 points now. So let me know. So which one? So character setting. You guys have your 5? Now let's start.
She's okay as long as she's
How are you guys doing?
Well,
What about you guys?
she thought because she talked to me, she didn't think that.
That's a great observation.
No.
You know, not every story goes maybe that
When did she have? Yeah.
I don't want to. Sorry, I brought one.
Alright guys, I want to bring us back to full classroom again and talk about people's ideas for the breakdown of this particular story. So does anyone have a point that they would like to share from their star? Yes,
We
Chris?
thought maybe the theme was revenge or justice.
Okay. And how'd you guys come up with that?
We were just thinking about the purpose of him creating a false wallet, because that
Okay,
seems
right.
like the center of the story.
So one good way to look for themes is think about the motivation behind the actions of a certain character. So that's really good that you guys did that. Carly?
We disagree. We feel that the theme was making lemonade out of lemons because he was trying to make the best out of a bad situation.
Okay. And the great thing, and one thing you'll notice a lot about themes, is that there might be more than one in a story, or people have different opinions on the theme. Anyone else want to share from a different category? Steve, what did you guys have for one of yours?
The setting was at the mall.
Okay, great. Anyone have anything for characters? Right. Father and son, okay. Are those the only characters, or are there more?
There's a pickpocket and a store.
Alright, clerk and pickpocket. Great. Let's try to get these last two ironed out. So, plot, what happened? Can anyone give me, like, a couple sentence summary? Josh?
He was tired of getting pickpocketed, so he made a fake wallet, and someone pickpocketed it, but they caught the thief, so he ran away.
Great. And now from that plot, can someone point out what the resolution and the resolution and end of the story was? Thief gets caught, okay.
And the other guys were like,
Yeah, perfect, that's great. And so now, even in this little story, we've ironed out the most important parts. And this is gonna become, obviously, pretty easy for this short story, right? You know, there's not a lot to look at, not a lot to break down. But when you get into more complicated novels and plays, this structure is gonna be really useful for dealing with a play with, say, 25 different characters, or multiple themes or storylines. And breaking down a story is gonna be really helpful. So, thanks for your help with story mapping today. So prototyping is a tool that you can use to break down a complicated story, and I chose to do the star structure, which is one of the structures they outlined in the book. I thought this would be a good one to use because it could be used for multiple different content areas, right? So I used it to do like what, where, when, why, how stories, but someone in social studies might use this to outline 5 different points of time in history, right? So like who are the characters in that point in history, what's happening, that kind of thing. In math, you could break down like a complex word problem with a 5-pointed star. It's just the idea of breaking a complicated thing into tinier, more digestible points. And let's see. Yeah, and visually breaking down a story can be helpful too. So some people might be able to think about all those different points in their head, but writing it down in a structured format is, helps different learners. Yeah, that's what I got.
Stay right there, Ross. You're not gonna teach people lessons.